2 weeks after a devastating earthquake and a tsunami hit the Indonesian city of Palu, major search and rescue operations are actually now due to end.
Yeah, what we know is that more than 2,000 people have died. Around 5,000, though, are still missing. And the government says it's imposed the rescue deadline to stop the spread of disease. Well, British aid worker Madiha Raza has just returned from the disaster zone, and she's come straight here to breakfast and joins us now. Thanks for coming in, because I know you've recently got back. Just give us a sense of what it was like out there. What did you see?
Complete and utter devastation, actually. You know, there was entire villages that have been destroyed, houses that have been broken in half, cars strewn about like they were toys, you know, remnants of people's lives that used to be there once upon a time, just completely devastated. And, you know, it was a matter of just knowing that people were, you know, standing here, sitting here, having meals with their families, and their lives were just turned upside down within seconds. Yeah.
It's difficult from here in some ways to sort of get a sense of it. So and these are your pictures, when you arrived there, what were your initial thoughts at what you saw?
Well, as soon as I got off the airport in Palu, the parts of the airport had been destroyed. Yeah. So sort of the devastation was evident from the get-go. You know, there were beams hanging off and electric wiring coming off as well. And the airport was actually operating at limited capacity at the time. And then we were driving through the city and the village, and you could see just you know, buildings completely destroyed and parts of the city just completely obliterated. And then we got to the areas where, you know, entire villages had been destroyed, as you can see on the video.
These are your pictures.
I took these videos. Yeah, this was taken from my phone, and you can see it's just miles and miles and miles of devastation. And there were lots of people around the edges waiting for their loved ones to be extracted as well. Right. So that was probably one of the most saddest things to see as well.
Oh, it's only when you see those pictures and the scale of it, the huge area that's been affected, that you really get your head around the numbers of people who've been affected. Exactly. And the numbers of people who are still missing. Yeah,
yeah. So 77,000 people have been displaced. So in that way, the humanitarian need is huge, and that's why organisations like Muslim Aid are doing their best to assist in whatever capacity they can. You know, 66,000 houses were destroyed, and as I said, 77,000 families people have been displaced. So, you know, people are in need of food, shelter, water, hygiene, you know, anything and everything that they need right now.
It's a desperate situation, and where are people living right now? Are they living, as you say, sort of on the edges?
Well, yes, you know, in displacement camps. Even when we were there was no buildings or obviously hotels. So we were all just staying sort of on the concrete and pavement as well at the same time, just wherever they can find shelter. A lot of them group in communities in displacement camps, which is a lot of the time where we give our aid out and our distributions for food and water and that kind of thing.
And when you say we, you were there with Muslim Aid.
I was.
Mean, how did you personally come to be involved in this? Have you done things like this before?
Yeah, so I've been an aid worker for a few years now, and Muslim Aid is an international humanitarian and relief organisation, works on both emergencies and long-term development. So this, you know, in terms of Indonesia, we've been there since the 2005 earthquake. We were there last month in the Lombok earthquake as well, so we were able to respond very quickly because we were already there and had been on the ground for quite a while. So in that way, it was great that we were able to sort of be there as soon as we could and help the people that were in desperate need at the time.
And just looking at the impact, they're not going to need help for just weeks, are they?
Absolutely, no. So, you know, our own response plan is for about 6 months. You know, we're looking to build transitional shelters to help people get back on their feet. There's always going to be a need for ongoing food, water, hygiene support, latrines and that kind of thing. So it is a long-term thing. It's a long-term rehabilitation and recovery plan for the future.
And what about you? How do you deal with it? You know, you fly back home after the intensity of being there, and then it's kind of, I guess, back to reality, normal. But for you, it must take some processing as well. Yeah,
I mean, I try not to make it. I mean, I try not to make it about me because it's about the people. But in a way, I mean, it's better for me to be able to be there and be hands-on and actually help than sit here and look at the news and be really helpless. So in that way, you know, it makes me proud in a way that the organisation I work for are able to do such fantastic work on the ground.
Well, thank you very much for coming in to see us as well, and thanks for those seeing the pictures as well too.